for you to wake up and realize who is your enemy. Push and this is a war, a clear war against Islam and Muslims. Be ready.
And that's why freedom of speech. You can insult God, you can insult Messenger, you can insult Jesus, Moses, Mohammed, but dare you to speak about what? About USA government. Almighty man disagree with that. USA government, it is angel government.
A Sunday afternoon in London, and above the local video store, one of Britain's most extreme Muslim clerics, Sheikh Omar Bakri Mohammed, is leading his own holy war.
You anger me, you enjoy yourself, and you go to hellfire.
Across town, a North London mosque has become part of the world's terror map. The Imam is happy to be called a terrorist.
Well, if I'm in prison because of that, I don't mind. This is the message, this is the prophets used to encounter these kind of difficulties.
The atrocities of September 11 have forced Britons to confront a new and uncomfortable reality, that their country is the weak link in Europe's anti-terrorist chain.
Oh Allah, defeat USA and UK forces in Afghanistan. Oh Allah, give victory to the Muslims in Afghanistan, in Lebanon, in Palestine, in Chechnya, in Kashmir, wherever there are believers. Fight against disbelievers who are enemy occupiers.
Ameen.
On 1089 and 10:53 a.m.
By all means, arrest them and ship them straight out. They have a big sign up there that says there is no other God but Allah. It's one rule for them and one for us.
I think internment should be brought in, as straight away.
England is crackling with dismay and not a little anger at how many Islamic terrorists have come to call London home.
The French exterior minister said the other day that Britain is paradise for terrorists. It is heaven for terrorists because we are so slack in checking up on people's backgrounds. He said that if he was a terrorist, he'd want to live in Britain.
Within days of the attacks on the World Trade Center, Britain was revealed to have its own key links to the Al-Qaeda network of Osama bin Laden. Not 5 minutes from Heathrow Airport, in an utterly ordinary neighbourhood, it emerged extraordinary events had taken place. Behind the door of number 7 Cavendish Court, an Algerian pilot called Lotfi Raisi had been holed up, a man police now accuse of instructing 4 of the suicide pilots.
It's very much a family community, so for someone like that to come and live in that type of family community, it does seem extraordinary, really. But then perhaps that's why he did it, because he can blend into the background and lose himself here. Maybe.
Bob East had no idea what his own neighbour was up to.
But the tougher questions are for the British authorities, like MI5 and Scotland Yard's anti-terrorist branch. Why didn't they know that there were men in this town who wanted to literally explode the United States and all it stands for? And if they did know, why did they seemingly do so little about it for so long?
I'm asking you, brother, can you study to become doctors in the West? Pilot. Who does they want to become pilot? No, don't be pilot, you become terrorist. Okay, no pilots.
Take Sheikh Omar Bakri Mohammed. The atrocities of September 11 have given a new edge to his mix of humour and venom as he promotes his goal of an Islamic state in Britain.
My dear Muslim brothers, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala order you. You must believe on it. You must work for it with the will of God. We will establish it. There is no need yourself to say it. We are living in Britain to integrate. We are living as a Muslims wherever we are to submit to the Almighty God and make sure society submit to Almighty God.
At regular Sunday afternoons like these, young British Muslims lap up the fundamentalist message. Videos on terrorism are selling like hotcakes. A group of these young men told me off camera that they would have no hesitation in becoming suicide pilots to attack United States facilities.
We don't have any link to any militant or militia or any type of organization which is prescribed to be terrorist. We are purely ideological political parties adopting Islam and carry it by non-violent means.
Sheikh Omar Bakri Mohammed was given safe haven by Britain 15 years ago after he was kicked out of Syria, then Saudi Arabia, for extremist activities. He's the leader of the country's most radical Islamic group, known as Al-Muhajirun. The Sheikh styles himself as an intellectual leader, opposed to violence. Yet hundreds of his young followers have gone overseas, including to Afghanistan, to train for fighting in Muslim conflicts.
And those who go after that to Afghanistan and fight, they're their own safe choice, because they don't fight to involve in terrorist activity, they fight to support their brothers and sisters against invaders or foreign invasion itself and the foreign forces.
Remember 6 million Muslims in the UK, mean an army of 6 million.
This is the hand of Sheikh Omar at work, his Al-Muhajirun group in full cry outside London's Central Mosque.
Propaganda! I bomb your house! I bomb your masjid! I kill your children and have some laddu, have some halwa and eat food!
French intelligence has named the Sheikh as one of 3 key individuals in Britain, raising money and people to fight for the fundamentalist cause. After September 11, British authorities shut down what they allege was an internet terrorist site linked to the Sheikh. Under the heading The Ultimate Jihad Challenge, the website offered young Muslims specialised weapons training. The choices included live fire shooting at, through and from vehicle, and live fire shooting on the move.
It was some individuals' youth club who are really involving in boxing and swimming and some type of martial art. This is not involving in any way in anything could be threat to any security.
Down the road at Finsbury Park Mosque in North London is another Muslim cleric named by French intelligence as raising money and men for the fundamentalist cause. The cleric in charge of this mosque has clear links to terrorism and openly condones the atrocities of September 11.
For people like you being killing for centuries and being killing for decades, if they want to retaliate for the dead because you don't listen, then I can no way say to them, we are not allowed to do these things, because they also have civilians whom you've killed with your bombs and your policies and your sanctions. So.
Abu Hamza Al-Masri is blind in one eye and has lost both hands as a result of fighting in Afghanistan with the Mujahideen. In 1998, Abu Hamza's own son and stepson were part of a terrorist group which kidnapped British and Australian tourists in Yemen. The Yemen government charged that Abu Hamza was the mastermind, though he was never extradited. The Imam takes no exception to being branded a terrorist.
No, I don't mind, you see. I'm somebody working in dawah. I'm working in what you say, inviting people for the right religion, which I think Muslims and non-Muslims. So if I'm in prison because of that, I don't mind. That's the price. When you say the truth, you have to. I'm pulling people back to know the definitions of right and wrong according to God.
In the wake of the September 11 attacks, it's emerged that 3 young men who spent time at Finsbury Park have direct links to Osama bin Laden's Al-Qaeda network. One was part of the World Trade Center suicide team. The police, though, have had little success penetrating Abu Hamza's fortress. But one man did go inside. Reda Hussein lives in this London bedsit, alone and on the edge. A former journalist in Algeria, he went inside Finsbury Park Mosque for 18 months, gathering information which he then passed to British police. He observed Abu Hamza close up.
For me, there is no difference between him and Osama bin Laden. He does recruit people, he does train people, he teach them hate. They have been sent to Bosnia at the beginning, and then they have been sent to Chechnya, and some others have been sent to Afghanistan to do some military training. So it's always like this in this mosque.
I wouldn't have the slightest idea about this. Muslims, they go about everywhere and they move everywhere. Just because they pass here as a station doesn't make that claim stand at all. All what it means is that the media has got a mission against this mosque. That's all what it means.
Abu Hamza has a close alliance with another Islamic extremist, Abu Qatada.
You regard him as a dangerous man?
It's very, very dangerous. He should be in prison. Otherwise, they are creating terrorists every day.
Last month, the United States Treasury named him as being linked to the Bin Laden terror group. His bank account was frozen by British authorities and was found to contain $500,000, even though he'd received council housing benefits for several years. Abu Qatada denies he has any link to Al-Qaeda, but a world authority on terrorism says otherwise. Roland Jacquard is a former counter-terrorism advisor to the French Prime Minister. He's investigated the influence of men like Abu Qatada and the Al-Qaeda network.
Abu Qatada is a man very important in the Islamic system in England because he is a man who is the most involved with the propaganda of the Bin Laden connections. And Begal was very close with this guy.
Begal is Jamel Begal, who, until his recent arrest, was one of Europe's most wanted men. The European head of Al-Qaeda, he's told investigators he was planning a second wave of attacks on US targets in Paris after the events of September 11. Begal revealed that he'd frequented the Finsbury Park Mosque, and he named Abu Qatada as the man who'd recruited him and sent him to train in Afghanistan.
And after Begal is leaving this country to come back in France, and from France he's coming back in England, and from England he's coming to Pakistan to Afghanistan in a training camp of Osama bin Laden.
It's now emerged that at least 4 young men graduated to the Al-Qaeda network after being exposed to the fundamentalist teachings of Abu Qatada, operating from this, the London Central Mosque. One was Zacarias Moussaoui, the so-called 20th hijacker of the World Trade Center suicide team. Moussaoui was arrested 2 weeks before the attacks after suspicions were raised about him at a pilot training school. His older brother, Abd Samad, was shocked to learn how Zacarias had transformed into an international terrorist.
Moi, le mardi du 11 septembre, j'étais devant mon poste de télévision et j'ai regardé les images de l'attentat en direct. Alors, faire le lien entre le petit frère avec qui on a grandi et avec qui on a joué, avec qui on a des relations de petit frère, grand frère, et puis des choses aussi choquantes que ça, franchement, il m'a fallu une semaine pour mettre mes idées en place. C'était vraiment très très difficile au début.
Abd Samad recalled that his brother had undergone a fundamental change after spending time in London with the extremist clerics. And he'd been alarmed at the literature his brother had been reading, the writings of one Islamic purist in particular.
Dans une traduction d'un livre de Sayyid Qutb, il dit comme ça qu'il n'y a aucune possibilité de coopération avec le monde occidental. Et que même faire ses études dans le monde occidental, c'est le premier signe de la corruption intellectuelle. Il écrit dans ses livres que il n'y a pas d'autre maison possible que la maison de l'islam et qu'il n'y a pas d'autre relation que la guerre possible avec d'autres peuples que les peuples de l'islam.
Britain has now been revealed as a key launching pad for Al-Qaeda terrorism, a base for hardline ideology, the recruitment of young men, the channeling of terrorist money, and a clearinghouse for false travel documents.
London, it's London. It's the safe haven. There's many people who, as well as Abu Hamza or Abu Qatada, if they were in France, for example, they are a long time ago they are in prison. Because the problem, for example, when you said that when Abu Hamza or Abu Qatada incite people to kill other people, the British take it as a freedom of speech.
So far, the British authorities have not responded to criticism of their performance. The radical Islamic leaders have been placed under closer scrutiny, but they are still free to spread their message of jihad or war to the West.
I think that the British government for a long time has a low profile with the terrorists. He don't consider that they are dangerous. He thinks that they can control them. He thinks that these people, they don't want to make attacks from London or in London because they are protected in Great Britain. But I think they make a big mistake because this kind of people, they play double game each time.
Propaganda! I bomb your house!